Well, here we are. It is now 10 after 4 on Sunday, what's today's date?
20th of July.
20th of July. And we are off to Rome in a few minutes. Have a little something to eat and then we're gone. Say hello to the camera, Helen.
Hello, Camera.
Cool. Okay. All right. Hi. Hi and bye. Okay, here we are about 16 hours later, and we are in the Hotel Riba. You can hear the TV in the background in the Trastevere section of Rome. And if I can not, that does it. I'm going to walk around. There's Mom. Say hello.
Hi, Mom.
And we'll just walk around and show you what the place looks like.
Then it's Simon Bailey's turn to enter the music hall in
Just the obligatory view of the bathroom.
Ready to rock and roll.
Nice. It's modern in its approach, or modern, I guess, if you would. It's an approach. Picture of me taking a picture. So how are we doing? And come walking in here. Hopefully it's not too glary. This is our balcony. With a view of the street. Wish I knew what the name of the street was, but got to get used to the camera. You see, it's me having to get used to the camera. First time. Not even sure whether they have the auto set on. Apartments in the area. Here we are again. So just say hello again.
Hello again.
And then we'll be taking a hour or two break, and we're heading out tonight to interesting, isn't it? We're heading out tonight to dinner and to a tour of Rome by night. And I have to get used to this camera just a little bit more. So, that note, here we go. We're in a section of town called Trastevere, one of the oldest sections in Rome. Came out here for lunch before. I've been walking around for about an hour. I'll get an idea of what it looks like. Well, this is our first night in Rome. We're on our way on to Pantheon with our guide up there. And
when I do this sign, it doesn't mean arrivederci, goodbye. Goodbye in Italy is this. This means come over here. So if you see anybody that does it means come over here. Policeman that says, it doesn't mean go away, it means you come, you understand? Away is like this. Come on. Remember. You're in jail, you understand? So we have different hands. We talk with the hands. If you see an Italian like that, it doesn't move, the dead it does. If we would be alive, we would do this and understand. We move, we are elected. How come Roman buildings are still there? So, anyhow, never mind. Ladies and gentlemen, underneath we find remains of the house. we hit something ancient, and they confiscate the ground. So we don't go down. You understand?
This is the house
This is it.
that Dante lived in, apparently when he wrote the Divina Commedia.
We cannot touch a wall. See, these houses, water aqueduct carrying water into the city, and we had the sewers. What we gave the building to rent to poor people. With this one, since then we call them San Pietrini. Look at St. Peter. This is lava rock. This is, as you call it, basalt. The lava is very hard. We don't destroy them. Hundreds of years, the wheel with the iron thing came over that water. We sell water 1 for 1. I mean, there, 1 for 1. No, 2 for 1. Okay, right down there. No. Very few times you see political things. Now Rome, we were champion of Italy soccer. You know, we are crazy about soccer. Rome was champion in the year 2000, 2001.
Oh, just a second. Which one of these things has businesses inside? Like,
Yeah.
I mean, this is where the businesses are. There's hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of little buildings.
Yeah.
How you doing?
Fine.
Getting tired?
They'll get hot.
We don't have that kind of, say, we live in $800. Don't forget, a teacher maybe earns $1,300 a month. So already $800 a rent would be impossible a month. Then it goes from father to son, and then if you have two brothers, one buys the other. Now, just to give you an idea, once this was a palace that belonged to one man. Now this man was obliged to sell it to 20, 30 different people, which is now very, very inexpensive, you understand? As a matter of fact, if look, they have their little houses, maybe this the back house, you know, as you call it, back house, or the situation there. But very, very. And once this was just a palace. This was one of the palaces that had even a tower with 10 scudi. 10 scudi. You were fined if you put the garbage outside like this happened in 17 something. Now nobody gets fined, you can throw the garbage. Come over here, put outside, but first we go inside the market. Then come over here, send away everybody. Romans, 26 years before Christ, still intact. This is called the Pantheon. which in Greek language means all gods. You know, they used to worship it, all gods, all of them. You know, they had so many. Zeus was the most important. Oh, so there's a ground, and we call it La Rotonda. You understand?
Here we are at the Pantheon. I haven't been saying too much and letting the guide do the talking. Gotcha.
So these were monolithic.
This is the interior of
The door is the
Pantheon.
original bronze door, 7 tons heavy, thick as that. Every night they close it with one hand, they close it. It still works on a kind of, you know, like that. Then, of course, you see the photo bars here and there. No, let's open there. That is the famous hole. Now, being a temple, first of all, they made it with sand, and they came up with sand. You understand? No scaffolding. Once they didn't use scaffolding. Scaffolding for the first time was Brunelleschi in Florence, who made the third largest church. July, we know exactly that looking at this time, that light over there, we know that is, and here to the right and to the left, we have the most important kings of Italy. Victor Emmanuel II was our first king. Then came Umberto, you know, the little guy, the old buried over here. It's a church now. If this is still efficient, not being destroyed, it's because it has been changed, transformed into a Catholic church. So now they are having mass here, weddings, big ceremonies. So it's very, very...
This is the piazza in front of the Pantheon.
Let's go. There were horse racing all around, boom, 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 boom. In the middle was already a fountain. The Romans used to have a plate, one round plate with the water used to fall down. They discovered almost a new continent, you know, when Christopher Colombo discovered a new continent. So instead of having Asia, Europe, and Africa, suddenly they had America and 4 rivers. So they made Ganja is the man with the hands that are like Mongolian, you know, like Asiatic. Then you have little details like the snake, like the cobra, like prickly pears that we call in Italian language figuriglia, Indian figs. So you have that on the wall. Then you go around, you have the horse, which is Europe, the Danube. Then you have with the pigeon on the head, on the left, you have Africa with the lion, the palm tree, dates growing on the wall. And this one here, they weren't so sure. First of all, they thought that the biggest river in the new continent was Rio de la Plata. Instead, as you know, it's Mississippi. So first of all, they made a mistake in giving the name of the river Rio de la Plata. Second, they didn't know how the face looked like. If it was black, red.
Where we are is an old racetrack, a stadium of Diocletian or Domitian. I'm not sure what the guide said, but this was where they had horse races in Roman times. And there was a spot further back where you could see the pillars for the seats. Yeah, we're getting a little better now. God, this is amazing.
Yeah.
It's absolutely amazing. Side street off the Piazza Stadium. I'll take a snapshot of this one. It's really cool. Really cool. Street scene in the stadium, Diocletian, in the Piazza. with Bernini's fountain in the background, and the Church of St. Agnes undergoing some renovation. This is the Victor Emmanuel Memorial.
They never cleaned the place, and still inside, 18 people had dinner inside the belly of the horse. Yes. No, we don't go around anymore. We stop. I show you, we stop where the other bus is. And now there is a castle on the very top of that building ahead of you that belongs to Carlo Ponti. And Carlo Ponti is married with Sophia Loren. So they own that castle on top with the first floor, the upper floor. Imagine.
It's the level of the ancient city of Rome. This is a Roman house.
The city was that level down there. Don't ask me why. That's it, you know. That usually is the only thing that people do.
See the
What can I help you? That's it.
fresco, I think would be called.
So, come with me now, we go up.
This is the Capitoline Hill. We're going to be walking up there in a few moments. Just at the base of the
Allora.
Capitoline Hill.
First of all, this belongs to Sophia Loren. Happens everywhere in Italy, so not only that.
When you
But this really belongs to Carlo
construct a
Ponti,
building,
the husband.
you have to put a
But, you
picture
know,
of what's going on in order for it to
Then,
happen.
you remember the tomb of Augustus, sir, and we call it Teatro Marcello, dedicated to his nephew. Then came a prince called Orsini, and he made apartments on top. And now these apartments, they sold them at the time of Mussolini. People own apartments on top of the ancient Theatre Marcello.
About halfway up the Palatine Hill. And on the Palatine Hill, sort of 360, and the stairs from which we came.
4 on one side, let's make this, look, 4 on one side and 3 on this side, and 1 was higher than anyone else where we are now, so-called Capitol. We say Washington is the capital because this hill was called Capitol.
Wrong, this is not Palatine, it's the Capitol Hill.
And when they had some dispute, they used to settle this dispute outside of their single hill, in the valley, outside. Now outside, in Latin, is called forum. That means outside. Like when you have a fist fight in a bar, you say, oh, why did you come outside? Forum. So the forum is just down. There are museums now. And in the middle, he decided to take a statue that he found down in a forum as Marcus Aurelius, gilt in gold. The original one is in a museum. This is a copy out of it, you understand? And then he gave these movements to the square that if you buy a postcard, you see it from the top. It has a beautiful movement that gives more light. But what he did the most, you see, for centuries, people used the forum as a quarry. When the barbarians came, for over 1,000 years, people did not understand anymore the beauty of art. They went down there and took a statue home just to put over the roof. Don't forget that these statues are 3 times the size of myself. If you take an arm, see that finger of that statue over there, which is the Tiber on the right, and the other one is the Nile. The finger, when I was a young tour director, I used to climb up and show the finger, how big is like my arm. So, if you take a leg of these guys over there,
you put across the window, you support the window, you understand? So people used it as a quarry. So when Michelangelo went down and wanted to embellish the square, he took all these statues that are Roman statues that were made 2,000 years ago. And only a man like him could understand what was missing. Look, this horse, if you go close by, you see there are bits and pieces missing in the backside, you see? He put new pieces on it, you understand? Remember, Michelangelo never made a mistake. That's why he came out with a new expression without any wax, you know, sincera. Because if you have a statue, you don't make a mistake. If you make a mistake, you have to put white wax here, you know, to fill it in. But if you don't use wax, it is called sincera, without wax. That's why you people write a letter sincerely, you really mean it. You understand when you say, my dear friend, come to visit me sincerely, means without wax. Rabish. So a man like him, he understood what was missing. Most of the time, when the barbarians came, they took the nose away, they also a little other part, you know, whatever sticking out. You understand? It was a finger. So he made it again, put it there. So all these statues are almost like wounded. You understand? Bits and pieces. Look here on the shoulder everywhere. Now I would like to show you, because it's getting dark, before we done something beautiful. When Michelangelo came over here, this building, he just made the facade, but the building was here already. And down, I'll tell you all about it. You see, you will never see it like that. This is impressive now. Tomorrow you see it during the day, but now, at night, it's better. Colosseum in the distance. Then this ballet over here, he made
That is the Colosseum in the distance.
Which was the political, religious, and economical center of that big empire that was called Roman Empire. So whatever they conquered, whatever they, you know, the legionnaires came back with the victory.
This is the heart of ancient Rome.
He makes that the Jewish community of Rome, you know, we have about 14,000 Jews here. So, if you start to look on your right hand side, you see a hill, trees,
Well, we have a new room. The air conditioning in the other one didn't work, so we got moved up one floor to the third floor. Now, as far as I can see, this is the non-tour rooms. I mean, it is really a beautiful, beautiful place. And let me get this shot from the other angle. We'll walk out here that way, turn, and go that way. And lovely, lovely place. Not sure whether that will pick up or not, but doesn't seem to be a problem. This is the Colosseum.
And here were the cages for the animals, and the lions, the tigers, the bears, the wolves. Then into the Colosseum, and a tunnel leaded then directly into the underground galleries underneath the Colosseum, to be brought then on the arena. And look on your left here, the Sala Vivaria, the exit of the winners. Those who won the fights left the Colosseum through that gate. And on the right there are the remains of Comeback.
Anyway, the chains there, and then according to the tradition also in Rome. Both chains, those used in Rome and those used in Jerusalem, are kept into this church. The chains used in Rome were found in the 5th century during excavations done in an area of the Forum. People were not really sure that these were the chains of Peter. Somebody said it, somebody was denying, actually. And then the Pope was having the 2 chains in the hand, those brought from Jerusalem to Rome, and those found in Rome, waiting for a sign. Suddenly these chains started to move and get lost. After this, the Pope was convinced and ordered the construction of the church. Now we've just talking about the 6 years or even more to the father, so they were talking about that. At that point, I will explain most of the things being here, and then we'll go closer to them anyway. No one else. So the statue of Moses, anyway, it started like that. James II was one of the strongest of the history. A very powerful man, a very clever man, something that Carl Treasure. And one of the most self-conscious men of the history. He wanted to have a huge tomb. His idea was to have a tomb in the middle of St. Peter, about the tomb of St. Peter, and to be kind of pyramid with a lot of statues around, like 4 pyramids. And he gave the work to Michelangelo, because he was very happy with doing that, because he was a sculptor, because he loved doing this kind of thing, and because he was needing approximately 2 years for each statue. And he said, that's all there, well, this is a large job. But then the Pope wasn't going to plan any of this. The shoulders, the elbow,
This is
the
the
knees.
statue of Moses by Michelangelo.
While if you look at that kind of Moses, everything is different. Everything is different, and you have the impression he wants to jump. The left leg is left behind, and especially about the after the revenge against the Pope. The Pope was not paid punctually, Michelangelo performs in the head of Moses. That's ridiculous. That's ridiculous. Not Michelangelo. Michelangelo was a deeply religious man with an enormous respect for the saints and for God. Maybe not for the Pope, not always, but for God and for the saints for sure. So he would never perform on the head of, maybe on the head of Pope Louis II. He could have done it without thinking twice, but not Moses. So
The chains of St. Peter, both Jerusalem and Rome, where he was bound in prison.
that is what I mean, are typical of that time. We're talking about the 17th century, so Baroque. That means at the time, soon after the Catholic Reform. So when the Catholic Reform was accomplished, it was a very hard time. I mean, the hard time started before. Started with the Protestant Reform and then the reaction of the Church. These were years of troubles in Europe, a lot of problems. But then after the Catholic Reform really was accomplished, it becomes not harder, but people were reminded they have to die continuously. These Baroque tombs were really big, represented like the skeleton with the side, with the center time is over there. It's typical of that period. Even in St. Peter, there's something like that. It doesn't look so ugly. There is like this. With a skeleton with a sandwich in the hand to say.
Street scene in Rome while we're waiting for the traffic light.
Church of St. Mary Major, which is now behind us, and the Church of St. John in Lateran, Cathedral of Rome, which is ahead of us. St. John in Lateran, Cathedral of Rome, is the first Christian church which was built inside the walls of Rome, inside them, because when Emperor Constantine gave freedom of cult to the Christians, they were not allowed to build churches in a city. Why not? Well, because Emperor Constantine had enough troubles. I mean, he was not born in Rome. He was...
St. John Lateran, the obelisk in Egypt.
So look at the obelisk and the church. There's a lot of traffic, huh?
Yes.
A lot of traffic in Rome, even if it's the end of July and most of the people should be on holidays. It seems they have no money this year. So they're not going on holidays. Maybe they don't want a fence around the Rome city.
The
But
ancient city of Rome.
in the 3rd century, things were changing. Things were changing because the Roman Empire was not more so strong as it was before. There even was a plague, a terrible disease that killed about a third of the population of Rome. That means also a third of the soldiers. And then the Romans were scared and they wanted these walls. In only 7 years, they built the walls that you see on your right-hand side. That tells us at the same time how scared the Romans were. 12 miles of brick walls built in only 7 years means they were scared. But also how good they were, because these 12 miles of brick walls are still standing all around the city of Rome. It was really amazing. And the Romans even had the time to innovate. You see these big towers which are projecting out of the walls. That was an innovation of the Romans, because at the top of the walls, inside the walls themselves, there's a passage, there's a corridor, so that the soldiers could go around and round, having all the land under control. But being into the towers, the Roman soldiers could control the walls themselves, because in case enemies were trying to climb up on the walls, then they could get them in the back with their arrows. Or other things, surely not with city walls.
Traffic stop. Church of San Sebastian. Now we're going into the catacombs in a moment or two.
Here,
We are just entering into the catacombs.
she's coming, she's behind us, she's out. Okay, now.
Here we're in the Church of San Sebastian, which is built above these particular catacombs. That is the papal coat of arms. One of the side altars in the church or Basilica of San Sebastian. More of this magnificent carved roof or ceiling. Street scenes
Spice
coming back.
gardens. Spice gardens.
Where are Spice Gardens?
All these balconies.
Ah.
We want to go downtown and see the Bath of Caracalla and the pyramid, and then we will stop by the by the Colosseum.
Traffic. Everywhere is traffic.
This is where we were last night, I think.
I'm sorry?
This is where we were last night.
Yeah. Well, I don't know whether it was exactly here, but we were riding along the Christopher Colombo Highway.
And used for weapons, melted and used for weapons. That's why you see holes everywhere in the brick walls. But now look on your right at the Bath of Caracalla, which has been used for a very long time as an open-air theatre for the Opera Festival. The Opera Festival was taking place in Rome in the months of July and August. Famous operas, Tosca, Aida, Turandot, were performed here. Now they rebuilt a little theatre. The old theatre was right, the stage was right among the ruins, and there were the seats. Where you see the stage now, there were seats for 7,000 people, but that was too much. I mean, too big the theater, too much people. And then the stage right among the ruins, it was much too loud, especially when they played Aida, I mean, bringing up the choir, the animals. On your left, and the city gate.
The bus for Dresden.
Yeah. This fun.
Can't be too far. Look at that.
First guys. Mm-hmm. More street scenes. We work our way through traffic. The Circus
And,
Maximus.
So we're going to the Colosseum
250,000
instead of
people
stopping up on the hill.
could witness the chariot
We're
race
going
that took
down.
place in that valley. Back now to the Palatine Hill, ruins of the palaces of the Roman Empire.
Okay, get ready because we have to get off.
The Roman Forum. Colosseum.
I know, that's killing me. I gotta find out. Name of the building. The building was the Palladian Theater, and the theater means double theater. So it was an elliptical building that you can see here. Double theater, amphitheater, double theater. And you see all around the arena. The arena was the fighting area. And the fighting area was a wooden floor with tents in it. Now, if you decide to get in, is there anybody thinking of going inside for the 10? You know that you have to pay to do that. There's 10 euros for those. Anyway, if somebody decides to do this, we will talk about that later, you will see these walls. Above them, there was a wooden floor where it was 10 inches of the blood. And the
To the Roman Forum. Same pictures that I took last night, but from a different angle. We're in the Forum itself, coming through the arch. Gotcha. Coliseum now on the periphery with our group getting to get some tickets to get in. But we're inside the Coliseum.
Ali.
Mhm.
Aspetta, guarda che no.
Here's
C'è
the-
una che bancate.
Mhm. Yep.
I don't get it. How did they sit? Where? Oh.
It's mostly all gone. Look at this.
You want to put together? Yeah.
Would you? Thanks. More of the Coliseum, just different angles of the same thing. View from the Forum over to what I imagine is the Palatine Hill in the distance. We're at the top level of the Coliseum. This is what it looks like from the bottom. Unbelievable. Some more street scenes.
So let us go.
Now we're on our way to the Trevi Fountain. And just like a big herd.
We've already lost one cup.
Yep. If you come out on these small piazzas, like we just did now, open air markets. As Lorenzo said yesterday, they buy for the day and they buy fresh. Restaurants along the way. The Trevi Fountain, more of the same. We're coming out into the piazza with the Trevi Fountain. Give me another one. Wait, you're frowning. Gotcha. Yeah. Thank you so much.
I couldn't get much.
Trevi Fountain. The Vatican Museum.
Yes, you're allowed to take pictures. No problem. You can take pictures. You can do video carriages. We cannot hear you. Come a little bit closer.
Yep. A little difficult to describe this. Take a look at some of this stuff. Gallery of Tapestries. Not sure what the call is, but part of the gallery is the roof. Seems to be committed to geography. We are entering St. Peter's Basilica and St. Peter's Square. Difficult here in open spaces.
She's changing a t-shirt.
Oh my God. I know. They're entering St. Peter's Basilica. Oh my God. Pietà. ceiling than the vaults above the theater.
And 25 million pounds. And Petra is the dead body of Jesus.
I'm just going to let the pictures speak for themselves.
Now, St. Peter's Basilica. St. Peter's Basilica has a very long history. That began when Peter was crucified in the
On the side, apse, as I think it's called. The main altar is to my right. Wonderful stained glass window in the back.
I can tell you one more thing from here. The statue here represents Peter. It's a concrete will. Very precious, and it is said that it is held into
Oh wait, it's Peter. Just going to record and walk at the same time. Main altar is over my right shoulder. It is.
밑에 깔 카페트가 흰색과 갈색으로 대리로 어떻게 조합해 왔는지
A little bit too much. Of Alexander I, Pope. Not sure exactly when. Again, the main altar seen from a different angle. St. Peter. And that is the dome of St. Peter's. San Pio Benedetto. Però la primera fosse di questa parte. last before we go. Coming. Swissgard.
For the city and the world, from that balcony, where you see the green and red colors on its side. That is the balcony from where the Pope blesses the room. The palace where the Pope leaves is the one at the end to the left, the very last one, very high, top floor, second window starting from the right is the window of his office. And the Pope blesses the crowd from there every Sunday at 12 o'clock when he's in Rome naturally. So not now because he's in Castel Gandolfo and summer away. St. Peter's Square then was designed by Bernini and has a capacity of about 120,000 people. But if they all stay close to each other like this, so it's never so crowded. At the top of the colonnades you see statues, 140 of them representing saints. Some of those were done thanks to bring the Catholic religion all over the world.
St. Peter's Basilica. We're walking now in the colonnades that surround St. Peter's Square.
The Italian Gerber.
The Bay of Naples.
We call it Buitoni.
With Vesuvius.
Look at that.
With
What
Vesuvius in the back.
Now, we don't have sharks. We don't have big animals in this sea. We just have...
Bay of Naples.
And people
Vesuvius in the background.
are sometimes free beaches on these rocks, but then, you know, they bring the food with salami, boiled eggs, macaroni, and they are packed one next to the other. You know, all kinds of things happen. And the Italians, ladies and gentlemen, the only object in their life is to spend 15 to 1 month in the sun.
Yeah.
You see,
Oh, look
the
at
status symbol of the Italians is to become brown. We have a particular kind of skin that we get brown.
It's all right.
You understand? Olive skin. So, there is nobody that doesn't spend 15 days or 1 month on the seashore with the kids. Now, either they rent a room, or they rent an apartment with 2 sisters with the children, or they go to the grandmother, or to the uncle. I mean, the husband remains in the city.
We're on the Amalfi Coast, just out of Castellamare.
Everybody.
No, this is not the Amalfi Coast? No?
Now,
Okay.
the next place, like case, something like my painting, you understand? A little bit smaller, but long, 9 feet. That's why they still call this town where they sell pizza al metro. That means pizza by the inches or by the meters, you understand? So you roll it and you bring it home. Then, of course, touristically it became around. Down south, the pizza is thick. In Rome, the pizza is thin. So it depends where you are. You see Capri with that little cloud there? That's Capri, the distance. Now, according to history, I don't know if it's true or not, I don't believe,
Sorrento.
but I tell you, as I saw on a TV, I think, Capri is supposed to fit in this bay here once, and then moved on the other side. Look at that. Isn't that something? Yeah.
It's gorgeous. Look at this, will you? It's getting all white out.
Now, do you understand why
Little white
the
knuckle,
song
eh?
goes on like that? Look.
This is Sorrento.
Quanto è bello, ispira tanto sentimento, la 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 la. Torna a Sorrento, you know, come back to Sorrento. The song is Vidu mare quanto è bello. That means look at the sea, how beautiful it is. It inspires you good